heaven?
No. It's Iowa.
Hey, tell me a fucking story, Kevin.
Once upon a time, I woke up, I jerked off in the shower, put my clothes on, went to work, had some dinner, and now I'm recording a podcast.
That's the best goddamn story I've ever heard in my entire life.
You got to start at the end.
Start at the end.
When you jerked off.
And none of that wolf shit. I don't want to hear about Red Riding Hood.
Goldilocks and the Three Bears is what you want to hear about?
Yeah, entertain me.
All right.
Dazzle me.
Well, we're talking The Lookout this week on the Pot of Dreams.
Let's start at the end. Can't tell a story if you don't know where it's going. Now that's the end. Now what happened before that?
Once upon a time, I had the perfect life. Now I have to write everything down just to make it through the day.
Any problems this week?
Nope.
Crying? Raging?
Nope.
Taking your meds?
I want you to write down bank extra clean in your little notebook.
That's Chris Pratt.
My friend would like to buy you a drink.
Gary Spargo? We know each other. I was your sister's class.
I heard what happened to you. And everyone was talking about how you woke up this other guy.
Were you with a lady tonight? Where'd you meet her?
Gary introduced me to her. Toast family, right? What's this?
Yes, this is a project I've been working on.
Why are you taking pictures of a bunch of banks?
Because I'm gonna rob one of them.
What is this?
You know, I need your help.
You want me to rob the bank?
Don't you want your old life back?
You can't give that to me.
I was 3 years ahead of you and I looked up to you. I'm gonna help you. How? Whoever has the money has the power. On the night, your job will be the most important job of all. You're the lookout.
Look, I can't do this.
Go in there, do your job, and shut your mouth. Where's the money?
Start at the end, work backwards. What are you doing here?
I have the money, I have the power.
Welcome to the Pot of Dreams. If you listen, we will pod. This week, we're talking about The Lookout, a 2007 movie with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. And I'm joined with my co-hosts, Ben and Eric. How you guys doing this week?
Mashing.
Just call me Chris Pratt from now on.
Oh, that
Chris
was a fun little twist.
Are you the actor, Chris Pratt? Or
No, I'm the character from this movie who's also named Chris Pratt.
Just before Chris Pratt got famous.
Oh, this is pre Guardians Chris Pratt, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Chris Pratt was in Wanted in 2008. I don't know when Parks and Rec started. Maybe he'd been doing Parks and Rec. I don't even think Parks and Rec had started
so
yet.
It's 2007.
He was just the wife of Guardians. He was just the husband of Anna Faris at this point of his life.
What year is Zero Dark 30? He's in that, isn't he?
That's 2009.
Okay.
10?
So this was just Chris Pratt, just
and
a
Moneyball is like
name.
2010. Yeah, they just happen to come up with the name Chris Pratt. Oh shit, that's Chris Pratt.
He's probably still in high school, right? Interesting. All right. I honestly I thought it was like a nod to the actor Chris Pratt. I guess not.
No, I think it was just a weird coincidence.
Chris Slapshot Pratt.
Yeah. So Kevin, why did you pick this movie?
Well,
it's a fascinating choice.
Back in the early days of streaming I think Netflix was basically the only streaming provider, and there was just horse shit for their back catalog.
Yep.
So I was just scrolling through it, and one late one night, and I came across this movie. I like Joseph Gordon-Levitt. It felt like something that might be halfway decent, and I ended up really enjoying it. It kind of blew me away considering my expectations, and I wanted to revisit that, see if it was any good, because my memory of it was that it was a David Fincher type of movie, pretty taut, pretty dark, well scripted and well acted.
Yeah, I had almost never heard of this movie. I do think I got some vague references to it at one point. I think maybe I came across a trailer or something, but I almost just didn't know this movie existed. It was just barely on the periphery. Yeah, it's not a movie I would have ever thought to watch, but I was also, spoiler alert, pleasantly surprised. But Eric, had you heard of this movie before? Is this new to you?
Oh, I had seen it before.
Wow.
I was trying to think if it was after Inception came out, and it was in the day of the Netflix like DVDs where you'd get them and send them back. That I saw like, oh, Joseph Gordon-Levitt's in this like heist movie. Let me check it out. And definitely, DVD, got the DVD and saw it. And I remember being a little confused by some of the beats, like the Jeff Daniels character. And it actually still confuses me a little bit, like why he has this middle-aged blind man as his like roommate. The
Institute put
becomes his business partner, and like I didn't understand his whole deal, and it threw me off. But yeah, it's it's a good. I like a good heist movie. I definitely enjoyed it this time more than I remembered. I remember being like, oh, there were things about that movie I didn't like, but yeah, it's. I'd recommend checking it out. It's got some interesting ideas. Scott Frank's he loves chess. He's gonna put chess in everything.
That's right.
Crazy cast too. A lot of interesting actors in it.
Yeah, I thought Jeff Daniels put in the legwork to be a good blind actor in this blind role. Certainly better than like an Al Pacino or something who won Oscar Gold.
Yeah, it's just like one of those movies that they don't make anymore. Like just a thriller heist movie, really no stakes other than that. Like they just don't make movies like this at all anymore. You take like a young star or a guy who's going to be a young star and kind of build. It's like Tom Holland is never in a movie like this,
That's an interesting take. Yeah.
It's also a movie I would never have thought about. I don't know. It just seems really slight. It's way better. It looks on the surface, if it didn't have the 2007, time frame on it, if this was like said 2018, it almost on the outside would look like just slop. Just the marketing and the branding of it, it doesn't look appetizing. It looks like a lot of crappy knockoffs that came after it, just cheap to Redbox stuff. And it's way better than that. It's much better. Like the script is really, really good. Things tie together really, really well. And the core performance it's really well done. Yeah, Jeff Daniels, it is a little goofy because Jeff Daniels, I think, is acting a bit younger than he is. Like, you're acting kind of like you're just like an older brother type, and really, yeah.
But he like goes to Thanksgiving dinner with Joseph Gordon-Levitt. I was just like very confused by that.
Yeah, so it's a little bit of a goofy relationship, but I kind of accepted it at first. It took a minute, and then I went with it. There was a little hesitation, and then I was like, all right, whatever. They're paired together. He's his kind of mentor. Okay, fine.
The institution thought they would go well together, and he needed some place to live. Felt right.
Yeah.
Wait, maybe I missed that part. So they were like placed together?
Yes.
Okay. After Joseph Gordon-Levitt's accident?
Yeah, I think Jeff Daniels is talking to Isla Fisher about whatever. I think it's during that competition. he says that they got paired together by whatever it is, the organization that does the job training and stuff, because Jeff Daniels knew all about it. He's like, I knew the instructor, I know what they're teaching you, I know how they're talking to you about it. So he understood like exactly what Joseph Gordon-Levitt was going through. So yeah, they didn't just like happen to find each other. It wasn't like a fluke. It was constructed by other people.
But see, this movie, it does that sort of thing where it doesn't overly explain stuff. Like that's where, I mean, that feels different than modern. If this is on Netflix, there's some guy would have explained everything within 5 minutes.
Oh, sure.
Who he is, what he's going to do. There would have been so much dialogue about that you learn so many. Like, you don't learn about his full accident until like the end of the movie, almost, where you see exactly what happened with the girl with the leg. Like, you don't learn really any of that. You know, somebody died, but you don't get all those details really. They kind of sprinkle them in throughout the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's way smarter than it's not. This movie isn't slop at all. This is a really good sort of drama thriller. It's kind of a heist movie. The heist it's really about the dramatic implications. There's not much of a heist. It's really about the relationships. But there's a little bit at the very end. But it's great. It works really well.
So Chris Pratt,
Go ahead.
He plays somebody with a severe head trauma. He was in a car accident that killed his two best friends and took the leg of his girlfriend. His girlfriend apparently came mad at him and never talked to him again. And he misses her. And
Kevin, when you drive down the highway with your lights off, chasing, you're pretty good at that, right?
Yeah, with the top down, of course.
With the top down.
Well, that's the thing. The accident is 100% his fault because he's being a very stupid high schooler. I mean, they're on the back roads on like a convertible on like prom night or whatever, and he turns the light off to show these fireflies.
Is it Kansas? We learn it's like Kansas City, right? Isn't that?
Yeah, somewhere in the Kansas area.
It's not the greater Des Moines area.
No, it's the greater Kansas City area. Yep. Okay. And he turns the light off and he shows the fireflies, and everybody's like asking him to turn the lights on. Everybody's getting freaked out, and he freezes to do it by like at the last second. He turns them on, and then they careen into a stalled combine on some back road somewhere.
Why didn't the combine have any lights on it? So it wasn't really 100% his fault. I mean, yeah, you should have had your lights on, but damn combine's in the middle of the highway. What's up with that?
Stalled out so that it didn't have power. I don't know if the lights are on a different system. That's what he said. It was stalled out. I don't know what that means technologically. But fine. I think
a lawyer could have a field day and say that it wasn't technically his fault. The lights off is a tough case. But
well, he didn't go to jail or anything for it.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, you have a hard time suing the combine person when you're just on the back roads. The people in the back seat weren't wearing seat belts, right? They were sitting at the top of the convertible.
Well, neither was he. Doesn't he say he flew like 60 feet in the air or something like that?
Yeah, sure. So I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, but it's brutal because the movie toys that you already. I mean, I haven't seen it before, but it sets it up like something bad's gonna happen. We get this lovely "My Morning Jacket" song that plays right at the very opening credits, and it's a sweet little song. And it's been a long time since I've heard "My Morning Jacket," but it brought me back a little ways. But you just know, like one point he stops on a freaking railroad track, and you're like, "Oh, come on, is this it? Is this it? Is this it?" And then all of a sudden, it toys. You know it's coming.
Yeah,
like, it's gonna be bad. And it finally hits, and it's brutal. And then we cut to him 4 years later, living this life with the middle-aged blind roommate, taking these like classes to work on his.
Well, it's it's all
his parole officer or whatever she is.
Yeah,
he's a case manager. Case
manager, sure.
But it's Jeff Daniels always makes me laugh. Even when he's playing like a serious character, he just something about his.
Well, I think his character was supposed to be some comedic relief.
Yeah, he's playing a goofy guy.
Larry Flint looking motherfucker.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think you're a little bit supposed to. I mean, he says stuff. Am I dead? No one's talking to me, so I must be dead. No, No, he's there. Yeah, he's the little bit of levity. There's not a lot. Because this is a very serious, sad movie. I mean, it starts off super sad. I think he's just trying to pick up the pieces of his life. He visits home, and that's kind of worse because he sees his family and they're happy and rich, and he sees what could have been but isn't anymore because he can't have that life because he has memory problems. Couldn't quite know the extent of it, but he forgets stuff.
Yeah. Do you think they handled the traumatic brain injury well in this movie? Is it, is it tasteful? Like, I don't know.
I thought it was realistic.
You thought it was real? Okay. I don't really know a lot of people that have suffered from traumatic brain injuries, so I haven't had a lot of experience around that. I was just curious if it seemed realistic to you or not.
I mean, I'm no expert, but it's played out in realistic fashion. He was going to class. He was having trouble sequencing, and they talked about that. He had different issues with being able to or unable to drink with his left hand and stuff. And you could see
like impulse stuff too, where he
so his frontal lobe was damaged. We had a brief thing about it, so he can't regulate his emotions as well or his thoughts. Like when he's got the caseworker, he's having a conversation with her.
Carla Gugino, what's her name? Big fan of hers.
Okay, is that her name, or you're just guessing?
Yeah, Carla Gugino. She was in
Watchmen. Her and Gary.
Watchmen,
her and the Gary character were both
the Matthew
in Watchmen.
Good guy. Yeah.
Yep.
She's also in
Son-in-Law. She was in Son-in-Law, the Pauly Shore movie. That's my first experience with her.
Okay.
Snake Eyes. She's in Snake Eyes.
But I mean, he has a conversation with her. We're learning a little bit about his character, and he literally says, "I think about fucking you a lot," which is obviously not a typically appropriate thing to say to in polite company. So we see that it makes sense that he has issues and he's working on it, trying to get a little better, but it seems to come and go. It's not like every time. It's not like Memento where it happens this particular rule. It resets every 15 minutes or whatever. It's like sometimes he does a little better, sometimes he doesn't do as well. But he's eking out this life where he's a janitor at night at this bank. Apparently, this is a question. He said it's an hour and a half from his house. Did I hear that dialogue right?
Oh,
it was like 40 minutes, I thought.
Okay,
so maybe an hour and a half round trip,
like out in the country, like a country
maybe round
bank.
trip. That would make more sense because I was confused about the timing of some of the stuff, but that would make more sense because Matthew Good talks to him about how he goes to this bank where nobody knows him. And it's just some random small town. And it's kind of a bummer of a life. He feels a lot of loss. And then these scumbags that went to high school with him decide they're going to use him to help him rob a bank.
So I had a question about that. Did they target him, or was he saw him at the bar and was like, "Ooh, I bet we could utilize this"?
They show them casing the bank before they meet him at the bar.
They see him there, and then they follow him to the bar.
Follow him to the bar. Got it. Okay, so they did kind of set him up.
They did, and they case him. We find out later they've been watching him, and they learn his routine and where he goes. Because
Isla Fisher was all part of it, right?
Oh yeah, she was Matthew Good's girlfriend, and she was boning him on that guy's instructions.
But she really did fall for.
I think that's how the implication.
JGL. Do we go JGL?
Chris Pratt.
I think so. I think in the end she did start to develop feelings for him, or at least she didn't want to take advantage of him anymore, and then left.
Well, the cab scene where she's like gonna stop, and she's like, "Oh no, I can't stop," and then
But she's leaving, right? She's ditching everybody, right? She's ditching the criminals and Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
She didn't get paid on that bank job.
No, she just didn't want any part of it. She saw the gun and was like, this is too hot for me. I'm out. Okay.
So maybe she didn't know the full extent of what they were doing.
I think that's the implication, because at one point she sees the bag and pulls out a gun and is like, what the fuck is this? But she knew it was kind of scummy what she was doing. She didn't think she was a good person at first. She knew she was kind of manipulating a guy with mental disabilities.
Yeah, Jeff Daniels, I thought his speech to her was pretty good about the lovely lemons of the world.
Yeah.
So this is like her follow-up after Wedding Crashers.
Isn't Wedding Crashers
Interesting.
2000? Is that 2006?
5.
Oh,
Five,
wow.
yeah.
I was way off. Wow.
Yeah.
Man.
2005. Wow.
Well, see, he gets kind of these criminals ingratiate themselves with him, and he just doesn't quite have the frontal lobe functioning to see that like he's being manipulated. They're trying to exploit him. They take their time. They just like hang out with him. He gets laid. He gets to feel like he's part of the group, and then they're kind of like, oh, yeah, by the way, we're maybe going to rob the bank where you work. And it's just, everybody sees him. It's just sad, all of his scenes, because he wants to be a teller, but he can't really count. I mean, it's really depressing. Like, he orders an O'Doul at the bar, right? And he's going to give the guy 20. He doesn't realize that's way too high of a tip for a $2.50 charge. Like that's ludicrous, and he just doesn't get it. And yet he's like, I want to be a teller, and it's such a bummer.
Yeah, but he wants more out of his life than what he
trying.
has.
Yeah,
He's trying.
that's true.
Well, he wants the life he had before. He was some hotshot hockey player.
He won the state championship, baby.
And then what was the story? He got a penalty even though they were up. Well, that's kind of a dick move.
Yeah, he seemed like kind of a dick back in the day.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I mean, he was cocky enough that he was driving back roads with no lights on. That's pretty cocky behavior. Yeah, they knew they were going to win, so then he got in a fight or beat somebody up or whatever he did, just because he's like, oh, we're going to win.
Oh, because he knew he wasn't going to get suspended because it was the last game of the year.
And we're going to win, so it doesn't matter. I can just, and people cheered him and loved him. But there's all these like just wonderful little moments where like he's meeting some of the criminals, and one guy went to Hamlin or whatever it is, some Hamilton's, whatever, some rival school. He's like, oh yeah, we played you guys in hockey. Did you play? And the guy's like, no, man, I wasn't into sports. And then a few minutes later, this is where it feels kind of accurate. A few minutes later, he's like, oh yeah, you played for Hamilton. And the guy's like, no, man. He didn't remember that the guy had gone to the school but didn't play sports, and had just remembered it as that guy hadn't played hockey. And it's just this little moment where he just doesn't quite track everything.
Yeah.
He's got a little notebook where he just writes stuff down, and that's his way of trying to remember stuff. I guess he doesn't have a BlackBerry at this point. Maybe that's not for him.
So then they go and rob the bank, and he's the titular lookout because the deputy comes and visits him every night.
Yeah, Deputy Dewey with the donuts.
Yeah.
Oh, that was brutal. I hated that.
The other part that threw me off of this movie is there's another guy who's in their crew who looks a little like Jeff Daniels, who has long hair and sunglasses, never takes them off. It's like
you're talking about Bones.
Bones?
Yeah, Bones. Bones threw me off. Like, who is this fucking guy? Yeah, just these youngish height.
Yeah,
yeah, but this guy's like 40, hanging out with these like 20-year-olds who are robbing a bank. It just seemed like a weird connection and relationship.
He's like a uncle or something. Who knows?
Yeah, he's like a high octane asshole. I mean, he is the like
who never takes his sunglasses off.
No, he is the most sociopathic of
He's
them all.
The Dennis Hopper of their group.
Sure. He gets them the farm, right? I don't know if they killed the old man or what, but like there's an old man in a wheelchair and they're at this farm that's not theirs. And the old man comes in for a second. It's like, who are these people? And he says Bones, and then Bones like deals with the old man somehow. And Bones hardly ever talks. He's just the scary dude. He didn't remind me of Jeff Daniels at all, other than the sunglasses, I guess.
Like, was he also blind?
No, he's just like a scary dude in sunglasses with long hair. Just really, really freaky. That man, Deputy Donut, as he was called, man, that bummed me out. So we see a few scenes with this deputy who drives around the small town. He stops in every night and brings in donuts for Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character.
He's ultra condescending to Chris Pratt, though.
Well, I guess. I don't know. You think he's ultra condescending? In what way?
Well, he's like telling me he missed the spot, and he's like a little too thinking that he's a little too helpless.
Maybe a bit overprotective, but he brings some donuts and chats.
Yeah. I mean, he's ostensibly a nice guy.
I think he is a nice guy, and he's got a very pregnant wife who at one point has Braxton Hicks contractions in the movie. And God, so first, like, so Joseph Gordon-Levitt's job is to like run interference with the cop the night of the, break-in, and he does a great job. And then the deputy decides, you know what, I'm going to bring the donuts.
There's the backdrop because the day before he snaps at him, right? And he's like, fuck you, I don't need your donuts.
But he's trying to save his life. He's trying to say, like, don't stop by, right? He's like, I'm going to be mean to this guy. And then hopefully he doesn't stop by the next day, right?
Well, did he know they were going to rob the bank that next day?
Yes. So, yeah.
Oh, I thought that was just an outburst because remember he was starting to get cool. He had his leather jacket on, and he's dating this hot chick. I thought it was because he was just feeling himself, and he's like, "Fucking deputy, I don't need your donuts. Get the fuck out of here."
No,
I don't think it had anything to do with the heist.
Oh, I think it had everything to do with the heist. I think the guy's bringing his wife around. He thought she was going to go to labor, and I think he was like, "Yeah, fuck you. Take these donuts. I don't need you to check in on me."
I think it was like Kevin said, he was being condescending, and he was like,
"No." At first, he was nice. He's like, "Hey, man, you don't need to check on things in the bank. Don't worry about it. You don't need to check on stuff. Bank will be fine." And the guy's like, "I don't here to check on the bank. I'm here to check on you." And then he goes, "Fuck you," maybe because he's being defensive. But anyway, I think he was doing it to be chivalrous. I guess agree to disagree. I read that as I don't want you to stop by because I don't want you to.
But there was that cool interaction when he does come on the night of the heist. And all the guys, Bones is ready to get his gun off and shoot the deputy. And JGL is like, he's like, hold on a second. And you think he's going to tell him that, like, the bank's being robbed. But instead, he's like, hey, man, I'm sorry about the other night. He's like, oh, don't worry about it. I thought that was like a cool, it was suspenseful, right? Because you think all the guys are like, oh, shit, he's about to rat us out. But instead, he was just apologizing.
Right. But the problem is, then the cop thinks they're cool, and then he decides, you know what, I am going to go get donuts and bring them back.
It ended up fucking him over, but
yeah, but it's good screenwriting. I think
it is very good.
Oh, it's the dialogue's terrific.
Dialogue is good.
But yeah, then he comes back, and I was like, man, he looks for at this point, Joseph Gordon-Levitt is in the vault. He's been tasked with like handing the money out, and then he shows back up, and he can't see Joseph Gordon-Levitt, can't see what's going on, and he realizes something's up, and it's like I had a
real problem with the heist, and they solve it at the very end, but I was like, wait, hold on, so there's no fucking cameras except for in the vault, and they at the end we find out that they didn't cut the camera, they actually cut the a radio signal or something like that, phone lines, yeah, but at first I was like, how this is all on camera, like these guys, these dumbasses, they're not getting away with this. But anyways, continue with
that's fine. You're right. They did address it. I got confused a little bit.
You talk about good screenwriting. They tie up all of those loose ends because I was like, wait, hold on. Wasn't this all on camera? And then they give you that little snip at the end.
We don't get anything about Deputy Donut's wife, though, unfortunately.
No, we don't.
Raise, a baby alone because of her dead husband. I got confused. So Deputy Donut shows up, realizes something's up, and he starts shooting, and he's doing a pretty good job.
I was like, damn, Deputy Donut is out here tombstoning these guys. Really, really impressive.
He was was on brand, but that evil Bones was too sneaky.
But
Joseph Gordon-Levitt then sprints out at one point. I thought there was a guy in the car that had the money. Did that guy get out and get shot?
Yeah, he got shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like,
Deputy Donut took his ass down.
Yeah.
Yeah, the guy with the stocking cap. There was a guy that always wore a stocking cap.
He was the driver. Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, talk about like good screenwriting. He puts the money in that car, and then JGL can't get into his car. He has to take the one that has the money in it.
He locked his keys in the car.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Like he always did before. Right. Yeah. Like that's just kind of a cool little detail that is tossed in there.
Like, so he sees the like president of the bank or whatever. He's like, you know what I found in my drawer? And it's this little card, like right after.
Yep.
He's like, I had the head injury and blah, blah, blah. Please don't get too mad if I have emotional outbursts. So he puts it in his like wallet and he gets pulled over by a random cop later and it gets him off with the random cop. Which I have to say, if I were a cop seeing somebody drive without lights on in a back road and they had a little card that said, I have emotional outbursts and they're screaming, I might not let the person get back behind the wheel. I would consider maybe that's not the best idea. That would cross my mind at least. I wouldn't just be like,
or follow him home or something. Yeah,
drive straight home, pal. Like I wouldn't just be like, we're good. This guy didn't have lights on and he's got head trauma. Maybe we do different approach there. But regardless, I forgive the movie that. But I was like, okay, come on.
Well, and also this always bothers me in movies where he's like license and registration. He would not have the registration for that vehicle. It's a fucking stolen car, or it's the other guy's car. He would have his license, but he's not going to have the insurance and registration for that vehicle. So the cop would be like, no, not at all. I don't even know whose car this is.
Yeah, he just read the head trauma card and was like, all right, give this guy a pass.
He's screaming like a lunatic. I don't want to deal with this guy. It's cool.
Right.
I'm out of here. Back in my car. But it was good writing, right? Like, and it ties in with it all works together because it culminates. The president of the bank's like, you know what? You might be able to get you some hours as a teller. We might be able to give you a trial because that's what he'd been wanting to do. Finally, that's coming along, and he tries to back out the last possible second, and it's too late. Criminals show up, and then he's stuck. And then he gets his confrontation. He like takes what he learned. Whoever has the gold has the power. Whoever has the money has the power, and he sets up a trap. Kind of forgets about it. All the stuff comes back. He falls asleep in the middle of the car. He's supposed to meet the guys. I mean, it's all great. Really, really terrific. It starts from the back of the story, right? Like he had this little moment with Jeff Daniels, who's like, all right, start at the very end. Okay, you don't remember how Goldilocks goes? Start at the end and work backwards. And he does that. All right, I want to kill Bone. I want to kill Matthew Good, save my friend. And he works backward. And he figures it out. And it's a pretty clever plan. It works out ultimately.
I didn't like that he didn't get away with the money. I felt like he should have got away with it.
Why?
I don't know. Everybody gets their money back, and he just gets a loan for his sandwich shop with his blind middle-aged buddy. I don't know. Take the money and run.
Where's he gonna go?
I don't know. Get out of fucking Kansas City, that's for sure. Go to Des Moines.
So this guy with head trauma is just gonna go spend his money and not get caught?
I don't know. I just wanted to see him get away with it.
Oh, that's weird.
He did ostensibly get away with it. I mean,
he did. Yeah.
Yeah, he confessed, and they're like, "Well, you've got head trauma, so we don't take you seriously. So you're fine."
Did he actually shoot it? Did he shoot anybody?
He shot Bones through with the duffel bag.
Oh yes,
he had the gun in the duffel bag.
Yeah, that's right. Right in the eye. Didn't he hit him right in the face too?
Yes.
Right in his sunglasses.
Square in the fucking right in the forehead.
Yeah, he's a good shot. They actually talked about him, and Lovely talked about him going hunting, and you said I was good.
I didn't like it, but I.
His dad had he had the new gun in the basement. Remember when he was at Thanksgiving? Yeah.
Chekhov's gun. Yeah,
it all comes back. Really, honestly,
really
Scott
great.
Frank. He knows what he's doing.
He's doing a lot of scripts too. He hasn't directed a lot. He's only directed 2 movies. It's kind of bizarre, but no, it's really, really good. It does all the stuff it should do. He doesn't kill Matthew Good's character because he was bleeding out. But he saves his pal. And I like the ending. It made more sense to me than he runs off like he's some genius and doesn't get caught. That would have been really implausible. I would have hated that, frankly. I wouldn't have bought it. It would have felt weird because the deputy gets killed and he's got this blood money, and then what? Am I supposed to root for him to live happily ever after? Like, I don't know.
We should have saw him on a beach somewhere in the Caribbean.
Over-tipping somebody. Somebody's like
hockey.
$5 and he gives him a 50. His money, he doesn't get any change. Then he runs out of money because he gets robbed. So people realize he's
or like a Fargo ending. He puts it somewhere, forgets where he put it.
Sure, that would be that. I don't think that would jive with the tone of this movie. that would be like too darkly comedic or cynical. I like it. I mean, he confessed, and everybody's like, "Well, here, we don't think you made a choice. We think you were held at gunpoint by a bunch of bad people, so you're fine." And then his boss was like, "You know what? I'm going to invest in your stupid restaurant."
Lose your lunch.
Yeah, it doesn't see Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character doesn't seem to actually care about the restaurant idea.
No.
There's no point where he seems like actually invested and interested.
Well, when they were at the one bank meeting, he's even like making fun of the name. He's like, "Yeah, we don't have to go with that."
No, he
name.
looks embarrassed. He seems unhappy about it the whole time.
And Daniel's like, "No, that's the name of the place."
That was where it's like, okay, maybe make him look a little interested in it. But whatever. At least Jeff Daniels got his dream of making a breakfast and lunch place.
But his dad actually visited him. His dad never visited his apartment.
Right.
But in the end, he did visit his restaurant, which I thought was meaningful.
I think you're right. I mean, his dad's starting to meet Joseph Gordon-Levitt on his own terms in the new way, right? Like he seemed to want Joseph Gordon-Levitt how he used to be with the chess and everything. Like, I got to meet him where he actually is at. That version of my son doesn't exist anymore, so we've got to figure out the story. And not everything was neatly tied together. I mean, his girlfriend is still really mad at him. He dreams that they have like a forgiveness session, but that doesn't really happen. And he's like, "I'm just taking it one day at a time. I'm doing this and I'm working on this, and if I can eventually forgive myself, maybe other people will too." And it's great. I mean, it ties up another loose end while leaving some ambiguity and some like, hey, and they're not everything's magically fixed. Still got problems. No, I dug it.
Yeah, JGL, interesting career that he's had, because like you would have thought post Inception, this dude's going to be like the biggest star in the world. Like he's in the Dark Knight, and then Looper's a big movie too.
Sure.
And then he just like kind of does nothing else after that.
Well, didn't he do like Don Juan or something? He used all his cachet to make his own movie.
I think he's kind of picky. I don't think he's just going to do anything, and I think he's like cool with doing nothing if it doesn't.
But the 2010s, like the mid to late 2010s, he's in bit roles. He does TV and stuff. Just weird choices.
Yeah, he did 50-50, the comedy with Seth Rogen. That was 2011. Yeah, he's in a Premium Rush. I really dug that movie, actually.
The bicycle movie?
Yeah.
It's not like my
his most recent, he was in the like Beverly Hills Cop remake or sequel that was on Netflix or something.
Yeah, but I mean, he's in the Beverly Hills Cop reboot, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's a little more picky. I don't know. I think it's that he's, just only do stuff that's interesting to him. That's something I can tell. But yeah, he's not like
he must be like a weird dude.
I think so. He did the Snowden movie, which I never watched, where he plays Edward Snowden. It's 2016.
He's one of the few child stars that actually became a good actor.
Yeah, I first knew him from Angels in the Outfield in 1993.
Yeah, that's right.
I love that movie.
It's terrible movie, then.
Well, I don't care. I loved it all the same, terrible or not. It worked for me as a 9-year-old. That also had an early McConaughey in it. Adrian Brody's in Agents in the Outfield. Actually, to tie that back to our off-pod discussion of Adrian Brody.
One of the greatest actors to ever live, apparently.
Two-time Oscar winner.
If you're into the awards.
Yeah, I was so surprised by this movie. It was really, really, really good. Man, it worked. Kept the time. I mean, I don't know why this movie wasn't more of a hit. I mean, it cost $16 million, which isn't a lot, and it made $5 million. I mean, that's a loss. It's not a massive one, but like, why wasn't this movie more successful in 2007?
I don't know. It got really good buzz. All the critics gave it good reviews. So just didn't have the backing, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure it out because it's like this movie should be more popular.
But it's not like a popcorny kind of pleaser movie. It's kind of a bummer. I think Joseph Gordon-Levitt's character is kind of a bummer the whole time.
It is, sure.
Yeah. I mean, the heist stuff is kind of fun, but it's overall it's just like not a fun movie.
No, it isn't. The heist isn't fun at all because like by the end you're like, don't do it, man. The whole time, like, get out of there. Don't do the heist.
It's like really well structured and well written, and the characters are well developed, but like the whole movie is just kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it's
not in like a Oscar bummer, like a real ensemble bummer. This is more just like just kind of like, oh, that sucks. That sucks that he's all busted up.
It is a movie you think should be more fun than it is.
Yeah,
that's part of the problem. Because Ensemble is a bummer. It's not a movie that looks like it's going to be fun anyway. You don't think I'm going in to have a good time. You're like, I'm going to be depressed as shit when I watch this. This is what you think. This you don't necessarily know. But look at it's lookout heist.
You feel sorry for him the whole time. There's just a lot of I pity him a lot in this movie. Everything that happens to him is like not his fault, but also sort of his fault.
Yeah, his agency is ambiguous, right? Like you want him to be an agent, but you're also like, I don't know if you are. And there's even a question at the end, like, does he forget his plan? Or was he lying or did he actually forget? Right?
Little Kaiser Sose shit. Maybe it was.
Well, that's Matthew. The whole thing is like, he gets there. He's like, where'd you put the money? He's like, I don't remember. And you don't know if he legitimately didn't remember or he's pretending. You don't know. I think it was real, but we
should have had a scene where at the end where he all of a sudden can skate on. And skates around and hits the puck.
But he does skate, and it's great. Yeah. He's not like a prodigy. He's not like, oh, I remember how great I used to, and he's doing crazy shit. He's like, I'm on the ice again. I'm not great, not nearly as good as he used to be, but I can kind of skate on ice. I don't know. That's probably as good as it gets for his character, if you're being honest, right? Like I know you want to imagine him on a beach, just stoking it up with Isla Fisher, living happily ever after. Making good investments so that $2 million lasts, but I think that would be implausible.
Would have been more of a crowd pleaser then.
Maybe. I still would have thought about Deputy Donut though.
That would have been my studio note. It's like have it end with where he takes the money.
Might have made more money, but I think it would have made a worse movie. But
it's a great podcast idea. Studio notes where you give the movie notes as if we're I don't know. It's probably a terrible idea.
No, you can do studio notes. You want a happier ending. I think this is just the right amount of happy for how much of a bummer the story was.
Yeah, I agree.
Like it would have been like, oh come on. He's like Milton at the end of Office Space. Excuse me, I ordered Zachary, please. Getting ignored. No. But yeah, I don't know. This was terrific. I was very pleasantly surprised.
Kevin, was it as good second time around?
Well, knowing how it turned out made it less good the second time around. Because trying to figure out how everything is going to tie up in the end. It's kind of the fun of it. So that was the part that you miss out on the second time, but still held up. Still was a good movie. Still well acted. Well, dialogue was good. I thought the plotting and pacing was also well done. So, I'd give it 4 stars for me. Nothing wrong with it.
That's exactly what I would give it. It's not quite super immaculate. There's a little wonkiness here and there. And it is kind of a bummer, but it's really well made. I really am surprised that this is only one of 2 movies that he directed. But I guess since it didn't make any money, that's really what Hollywood cares about. So even if you make a good movie that just doesn't do well, I don't think Hollywood gives 2 shits.
Yeah, I'm more in the like 3.5, 3 range. For like the reasons I said. I don't know. The middle-aged blind man as a roommate just threw me off a bit, and then it like it's not a fun movie. I like my heist movies to be fun, and this really isn't.
It just wasn't raw entertaining enough.
But it's really well structured, like I said, well written. All those little details that they don't need to be in there, right? Like most movies don't have that kind of well crafted, well thought out connections and callbacks and things like that. So, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, this guy and the writer. I mean, he wrote Minority Report and Logan. I mean, it's good writing credits. Yeah, I mean, it was a good one.
Yeah, his most famous turn was probably Queen's Gambit, I think.
Oh, right, right.
That was well received.
Yeah, that was like his baby, right? Like,
yeah. He wrote and directed and produced Queen's Gambit.
It's good. Queen's Gambit's good.
Yeah.
I can't believe I enjoyed a show about chess. But I did.
Oh, wow. It wasn't too boring?
No, it's exciting.
Wow. It's just people moving little pieces on a board? Oh, man. Requires no athleticism whatsoever. Impressive. Okay. Well, I think it's my turn, right? Am I correct?
Yep, I believe so.
And you're not picking for me? You've decided you don't want to do that?
No, you pick your own movie.
All right. I got a movie. This is neck and neck, actually. But I'm gonna go with this one for now. 1981 is the year of our Lord.
E.T.
Not E.T. Though I do love that movie.
Mac and Me.
Oh man. Someday I'm going to pick a really awful movie just to annoy Eric. That one of those so bad it's good movies, but no, it's not Mac and Me.
Wait, this would be like Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It's not Raiders of the Lost Ark, but I sure do love me that movie. So this was the number one movie in the United States during its opening weekend. It grossed $34 million in the United States and Canada.
Overall?
Overall, eventually. It was the 18th highest grossing movie of 1981. So, and Roger Ebert called it both a wondrous vision and a mess. What he said about this movie.
Oh boy.
We're gonna get a little closer here. So this movie actually began development as an unproduced adaptation of The Lord of the Rings. So get us a little closer.
Started off as Lord of the Rings.
Is that the Legend?
It's not Legend. I love that guess, but it's not Legend. Oh man, I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
Yeah, me.
I don't know if I've ever seen that entire movie.
That's the one with Tom Cruise, right?
Yep.
And Tim Curry, I think, plays like the devil.
Like the devil, yeah. Willow?
Ooh, I love that guess too, but it's not Willow. Let me give you some of the cast here. Patrick Stewart. Liam Neeson.
Is it Krull?
It's not Krull. We're getting real close though. Like if I were doing hot and cold, you're hot.
Like Masters of the Universe.
That's still pretty hot, but not quite it. No, Masters of the Universe was a bit later. Let's see here. Gabriel Byrne, Helen Mirren.
What? You're making this up. This isn't a real movie.
Sounds like a mess.
I mean, it probably will be. I'll explain in a bit. But director's John Boorman.
Oh, okay. I know what he's done.
I don't know if you're being sarcastic or not.
No, I've heard of the name. Yeah.
He's done a few things. Escape from Alcatraz is a movie he did in the late 60s, which is really good. I think he did some westerns too, if I'm not totally mistaken. Let's see here. And this is it's an epic medieval fantasy. Does that help?
Yeah, that's where my mind is going, but I can't think of Patrick Stewart. Is he the star of the movie?
I don't believe he's the star. The star is a guy named Nigel Terry, who you'd recognize his face. I'm trying to think what else Nigel Terry has done.
Describe his face. I'm just kidding.
Anyway, now he's the star. I'll give you the sense, and this is as close as without saying it, this is about as close as I can get. So it's an epic medieval fantasy that retells the legend of King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table.
Is it Excalibur?
You got it. That's it.
All right. So I've only heard of this movie.
Me too. It might be terrible, Eric. We can start off. You can be really annoyed that the movie is terrible. The next movie I pick, I think you'll probably like. It'll be next in the queue, but I'll save that. The other one I didn't pick.
Excalibur. Is it streaming anywhere?
Actually, I don't know. I just decided I want to watch it, so I have no idea. I didn't look that up. I hope so.
It's intriguing. I mean, it's got quite a heck of a cast.
Yeah, and I was reminded of it. I mean, I'd heard of it before, but I'm reading this book about the making of Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings, and it talked a little bit about previous attempts to make Lord of the Rings. And I heard there was this bit about this crazy write-up that John Boorman did as he was possibly going to make Lord of the Rings, and it sounded crazy. He was just making up insane, like Caligula shit to happen in the movie. And they decided not to go the route of John Boorman, and he took those ideas and he apparently put them into Excalibur, at least some of them, which sounded wild. It sounds entertaining. I don't think it's going to be great, so don't go in thinking it's going to be a breathtakingly amazing movie.
Well, it was the 18th highest grossing movie in 1981.
Correct. Very, very important. But I think it'll be fun and goofy, and I've wanted to see it for a while.
So Liam Neeson plays Gawain, and that, have you ever seen The Green Knight? The movie The Green Knight?
Yes. Oh yeah, I love The Green Knight. Yes.
That's who Dev Patel plays. So like Arthur's nephew or whatever.
Oh,
Sure.
Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've seen Green Knight.
Like the the guy who never did anything, never had a tale to tell.
Right, and then he chops off the thing's head, and then he has to go get his head chopped off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I gotcha.
That's who Liam Neeson plays. That's interesting.
Okay.
So he overlapped the Lord of the Rings with the Tale of the Knights of the Round Table.
Well, I think he just wanted a fantasy outlet to make up a bunch of crazy shit, and he started out doing it with Lord of the Rings. He did a treatment where it was crazy. Like, well, maybe I'll just do what I was going to do to Lord of the Rings, and I'm going to do that with the Arthurian legend. I'm going to make up a bunch of crazy shit.
Oh, because that's public domain at this point.
Yeah, and I don't know who was able to get backing for it, and people were less precious with it. I mean, it was difficult to make Lord of the Rings. The studio was very protective of it, and then there was a version that came out in '78, an animated version that's terrible.
The Ralph Bakshi version.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
this is
I loved that movie as a child.
I just watched it.
Remember the Hobbit movie? Is that
this is
different?
Before then, and it's more they do like rotoscoping. Also hand drawn, like that's where they like take a person and then they just draw over them so it looks more realistic. But then they mix that with like actual animation. It looks super goofy. But anyway, right before that, the Bakshi version got made. John Boorman was originally he was one of the people who was gonna do his version. So they're like, this is too crazy. Like there's like explicit sex scenes, right? Like which doesn't jive with the Tolkien vision of Lord of the Rings. So like that kind of stuff. Like, well, all right, I can still do this.
Like full on penetration and stuff, or
I don't know if that was gonna be that explicit, but it was gonna be naked bodies obviously having sex, which doesn't happen in any Lord of the Rings thing ever. You never see or hear about anybody copulating in any way whatsoever. It's very prim and proper in this regard. But anyway, I think it'll be fun to talk one.
I mean, they make orcs somehow.
Yeah, and the Uruk-hai are men and orc combinations. So you can probably imagine how that actually happens, but it's never talked about or shown explicitly. But yes, you can make inference. Clearly, sex has to happen. It's just completely outside of the scope of the narrative. Nobody.
Can you explain sex to us, man? What like?
No, I can't. Well, you see an orc and a human fall in love. And then they smush two body parts together and they go like this for 45 minutes to an hour.
Wow.
Do orcs have normal like sex organs? They got twig and berries?
Yeah, sure.
Or are they like Barbie dolls? Just
they produce sexually like all mammals, in fact.
Okay. An orc is a mammal?
I think so. Well, what species? What
is it? Cold-blooded mammal?
They're not cold-blooded.
I think they were more like insects.
You
just
think
like
so?
a bug, big giant bug.
Okay. I love it. Tell me more. Please elaborate.
That's all I got.
Oh, okay. You haven't thought beyond that one sentence.
I'll do some study
like bugs.
of orc history.
Yeah. Read
no,
the
those
Silmarillion.
are goblins are more like insects, right? Do goblins have sex also?
No, they just spring out of existence.
Don't they come out of like a sack? Don't in the Lord of the Rings movies? Don't those things get birthed out of sacks and stuff? Right? Don't
those
they?
are the Uruk-hai. Those are the half goblin, half men.
Yeah, they're like in the ground, right? They're grown.
Peter Jackson made that up. It's not canon. I'm sorry, Eric. I don't want to upset you, but it's just Peter Jackson made that up.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Well, it's all made up. So, like, what the fuck do you mean?
Yeah, so they can be insects. There you go. They can be just weird beetles if you want. You can make them fly if you want, Eric. Whatever you want in your head. But yeah, hey, more fantasy talk next week as we go after Excalibur. Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.